okay? Because I really wanted to get to share something with you, which is on the table, what we have on the table, okay? All right. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So we have here Chesed, the first sphera, the creation of light, which is something that goes without bounds, which is what happened the first day of creation. Okay? I know some people who are like that, right? So giving that they actually lose themselves in the giving. Okay? It needs balance. What's the balance of that? That's what's on creation on day number 2. And as we know, day number 2 was Gevura, restraint, which is the creation of a firmament, where God said, stop. The light went until day number 2. God says, you have to draw a line. Okay? Lines are good. Expansion is great, but it has to have within bounds. Otherwise, you dissipate. Okay? And boundaries are great, but not too much boundaries, because then you can't move.
It's too restrictive.
Then you're too restrictive, and then there's no room. There's no path. Okay? So that's the creation of a firmament. The third day of creation was the balance. As we know what happened in the third day of creation, that God separated the seas and dry land. So that was a balance between the seas and the land. So Tiferet balances between Chesed and Gevura, and that is the quality of Yaakov Avinu, we said. That's the quality that we always have to shoot for. Okay? Is to have the right amount of kindness, and yet you have to know when to say no, and we're all struggling with that all the time, won't you agree? Okay? When to say yes, when to say no. Some people are great at saying no. Some people are the worst at saying no. Okay? Some people just don't know how to say no. Okay?
It's a beautiful thing.
To say no? It's so awesome. It took me
I learned
years.
it very late in life.
I'm still working
And
on it.
I'm still working
I'm
on it.
still working at it.
Me
I
too.
love it.
Some people are people pleasers, and it's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
right.
And it is good, and it's chesed, and we're about chesed, and we're about kindness, and we're about it. It's just sometimes you have to know, and you have to have what we call not integrity, more like authenticity, which is when to say no, when it's a no, and no is good.
Yeah,
Okay,
have the balance.
and it's not, really, you're not helping the person by enabling them. In a codependent relationship, you're not helping that person. It's not helping. So really, the chesed and the kindness, really, in the gevura itself has a kindness. In the strength, the power, the discipline itself is kindness. It is. Okay, Netzach, dominance. We said that was the fourth day of creation. That was the creation of the stars and the astronomical bodies. Don't forget, God said, okay, sun, this is your rotation. Moon, this is your rotation. This is all of the planets, all of the stars, all of the galaxies. This is how you're rotating exactly on this path and no deviation. Okay? Very disciplined. Okay? That's Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from the mountain. This is where, at Mount Sinai, and all of our souls were there. God told every single person had to stand in exactly the right place. You know that? He went and instructed, you have to stand here. You have to stand here. You're talking about 2.5 million people. Okay? He had to make sure they were all exactly where they needed to stand. Okay? And I think I got nosebleed section. Okay? No, actually, that was the Bruce Springsteen concert I was at. Okay? I was like, who's that down there? I'm like, holding my nose. Okay. But in any case, at Mount Sinai, we all had to stand in very succinct places, just like the planets and the stars. Because if you were a little bit over, if you were in the wrong place, the signal wouldn't hit you in the right exact way in order to build you to be a vessel, to receive the light in the right way, to develop you. Everybody had to stand where they had to stand. Unbelievable, huh? Far out. Is that funky? It's like, dude, how do you place 2.5 million people? It's like you have little footprints or something with your name on it. Okay.
How did that happen?
Listen, it happened. You got it together, okay? Of course, and then there's the other side. On the other side of the scale, there was Hod, which is Aron, which is empathy. As we know, that in the fifth day of creation, that was where the first creation had complete free movement. Empathy is that allowing space. Okay, but once again, allowing space results in evil. Because why? Too much space, right? too much space, Aaron, who allowed too much space, was responsible for the creation of the golden calf. So therefore, yes, you have to have that ability. And we talked a little bit last week about the turkey prince. How the child was under the prince was under the table, and it needed somebody to go down there and relate in order to heal him. Okay? And then there was the Yesod foundation that relates to the sixth day of creation, the creation of man. And then there's Malchut, finally kingship, that relates to Shabbat, or Shabbos. Okay? Shabbos is everything. Okay? Everything really, according to the Zohar, revolves around Shabbos. It's not you have 6 days and then Shabbos. Really, that's why every single day, at the end of the prayer service, it says, Hayom Yom Rishon B'Shabbat. Today is the first day of Shabbat. Today, and the second day, and then you have a certain psalm that they sang, that the Levium sang in the temple. It's at the end of davening. Usually most people are all reaching for their keys and they're out, cell phones, and phone. Okay? But, it is there because a person, even from day one, has to think about Shabbat too. Because Shabbat really is the culmination of everything. Okay? And that's what we're going to get to today. Okay?
Question.
Yeah.
The menorah has the menorah in the temple, in the Mishkan. There were 6 branches with one in the center.
Yes.
Do you think that was also representative of Shabbat?
100%. It was always lit. That middle one never extinguished. I think they had to do it in order to clean it out. But when they come in, day in, out, that one, all the other ones were finished. The oil finished. They came in the next day and it was gone. But that one was always gone. It was always going. It was the Shabbat. It's the soul. It represents what I wrote here. Absorb the fruits of all we did during the week. Every single thing that we're involved in during the week, if hopefully, God willing, we're involved in holy work all week. That's why we focus. That's why we come to these classes, because you have to constantly retrain and refocus. What are we here for? What are we supposed to be doing? Right?
Yeah.
So then to get, refocused so that we can do the work, and then Shabbos is like this. It hits you. Like you have an extra soul in Shabbat. That if you do it right, it hits you. And you're like, the only thing you're thinking, one thing that hits you is, oh my gosh, I can't believe Shabbos is going to end and my extra soul is going to leave me. It's like I'm getting such insights now. I feel such, sometimes if you pay attention, you'll feel a moment, even if it's just for a moment between all the stuff that goes on and it's so busy, right? Sometimes Shabbat can be really busy, right? But in between all of that, sometimes there's a moment of just, there's a connection there, and you go, and it's unbelievable. You feel so connected to your path. You feel so connected to your goal, what you're supposed to be doing. It's such an insight that it's hard to part from it. And then when Shabbos goes out, that insight goes out, and you have to go into the trek of the week again. Thank you very much. You got to get in the schmutz, back into the schmutz. Okay? Shabbos, the Hasidic masters, was not something, okay, I observe Shabbat. Okay? Shabbos is a practice like Kung Fu. They work on Shabbos. In other words, you got to work on how to receive more and more and more. See, Shabbos relates to Malchut, which is what we're going to get into today. Okay? Which is really, I'm going to skip page in a minute, 30. We're gonna get into into this. First, we're gonna talk about Malchut, because we said Malchut was, pass these around. Do you think we have enough for everybody? If not, you have to share. There's one that has black tape on it. That's mine. Okay. This is a fantastic. I've also had the same. Okay, good. We cut enough. All right.
You guys don't mind sharing.
This is the classic story from Rabbi Nachman.
Is this yours?
They're all mine, but
Okay.
this is mine because it's like very well worn.
It's the teacher's edition.
Teacher's edition. I've got my little notes in here, my underline, and my yellow out, and everything. This is one of the basic stories of Rabbi Nachman, but it is so deep. And if you learn it, and I could constantly go over it, and I constantly go over it, and every time I go over it, there's new insights. We're starting on page 31. Have you been familiar with the story? Anybody
I
ever
just
learn?
know Arya Kaplan, and
This is Rabbi Nachman's
Yeah.
stories. He translated and gave notes. And this is called The Lost Princess. This is a journey. You never,
No.
I
don't think so.
I give a lot of classes throughout the week, and I go here, and it's been,
And I go to a lot of classes and I haven't heard this.
Okay, and I haven't been, so I haven't heard either.
we're gonna read this. Now, we're just gonna be doing the top part. As you'll turn the pages, you'll see just the top bold, the top part, okay, because all the rest is commentary. Yeah, there's a lot of
A lot
notes.
of commentary.
A lot of commentary because these stories are so deep. I will tell you one thing about this story, okay, before we start, okay? Somebody told me there was a simcha, there was a joyous event, a circumcision. And at the circumcision, they invite this Hasidic Rebbe to come. He's going to be the sandek. He's going to be, the person that they put the baby on, they do the circumcision on. And, they're still waiting to get things together. And he gets up, and they're waiting a little few more minutes, and he goes up and he faces a book and he's going like this, and he looks at the bookshelf and he sees there, he picks out a book, actually it was this book, of course it's in Hebrew or Yiddish or something, and he goes like this and he starts reading, right? And he goes like this, and he's reading, and of course, the Hasidim around are very respectful, okay? And so they don't want to bother him because they see he's in something. 3 hours. 3 hours. Just this first story here. After reading this first story, he says, okay, now I understand all of these, what it means when the Ari, who was this unbelievable Kabbalist, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, when he writes in these unbelievable detailed events of the map of the spiritual creation and how heavens and everything, he says, now I finally got these first chapters of the Ari. These complicated texts through this story. Okay? In other words, there's deep, deep, deep things in this. All of these stories are really very, very deep. Okay? When I was in San Antonio, I went through the entire, with all the women, and it was like, it's an acid trip. Okay? So in any they didn't know what it was.
Who needs drugs when you have Rabbi Cohen?
No, Rabbi Nachman. Okay, listen to this, okay? I might interject just a little bit here, but we're going to put it all together, okay? The Rebbe spoke up and said, while on my journey, I told a story. Hey, Yeshod. Ki it zeh. Okay, look on. Because this might be a different translation. The Rebbe spoke up and said, while on my journey, I told a story. Whoever heard it had a thought of repentance. Now, a thought of repentance is very deep, okay? Just a thought of repentance, meaning a thought of returning, a thought of coming back. And when we say a thought of tshuva, which literally means return, but it doesn't, what does that mean, right? Return. It means returning, well, we'll talk about it at the end, okay? There was once a king who had 6 sons and 1 daughter. This daughter was very precious to him, and he loved her very much. He spent much time with her. One time, he was alone with her on a certain day, and he became angry at her. I'm on page 34 now, the top. One time he was alone with her on a certain day, and he became angry at her. He inadvertently said, "Oh, may the no good take you away." I said no good one, okay? Because it's not evil one. The Hebrew means the low tov. Okay, he used the language of, right? A different, not the ra. The no tov should take you away. At night, she went to her room, and in the morning, no one knew where she was. Her father was very upset, and he went here and there looking for her. Okay, so the viceroy realized that the king was very upset. He stood up and he asked that the king give him a servant, a horse, and some money for expenses. And he went to search for her. He searched for her very much for a very long time until he finally found her. And okay, so that's the end of the story. No, not really, because now he's going to tell the details. Okay, now he tells her exactly the details. The viceroy is now here's the search. The viceroy traveled back and forth for a long time through deserts, fields, and forests. He searched for the princess for a very long time. Finally, while traveling through the desert, he saw a path to the side. He thought it over. Since I have traveled for so long in the desert and cannot find her, let me follow this path. Perhaps it will bring me to an inhabited area. He continued traveling for a long time until he finally saw a castle. Many soldiers stood around it. The castle was beautiful, and the troops around it were standing in fine order. The viceroy was afraid that the soldiers would not let him in, but he thought it over, and he said to himself, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to see what happens. He leaves behind his horse. He gets up, and he walks straight ahead. He went up to the castle, and the soldiers let him come in. Nobody stopped him. He went from room to room, and here he is going around the castle looking from room to room. He's looking for the princess. No one's stopping him. No one's challenging him. No, hello, can I help you? There's none of those. Everybody's just going about their business. Finally, he came to the main hall. He saw the king sitting there with a crown on his head. There were so many soldiers, as well as musicians with their instruments in front of them, and it was a very pleasant and beautiful. Neither the king nor anyone else asked him any questions. He saw delicacies and fine foods there, and he ate. And then he went to lie down in a corner to see what would happen. So he saw the king issue a command to bring the queen. People went to fetch her. There was a great uproar as they brought forth the queen, and the orchestra played, the choir sang, people set up a throne for the queen, and they sat her next to the king. She, the queen, was the lost princess. As soon as the viceroy saw her, he recognized her. The queen looked around, and seeing someone lying in the corner, recognized him. She stood up from her throne and went over and touched him. Do you know me? She asked. Yes, he replied, I know you. You are the king's daughter who was lost. He then asked her, how did you get here? She replied, it happened when my father said that the evil one should take me, and this is the place of evil. He told her that her father was very grieved and had tried to find her for many years. How can I get you out of here, he asked. So she said, it is impossible to get me out unless you choose yourself a place and remain there for an entire year. All that year, you must long for me to get out. Yearning is a big thing. Whenever you are unoccupied, you must only yearn, seek, and look forward to freeing me. You must also fast, and then on the last day, you must fast and go without sleep for an entire 24-hour period. Okay, in other words, that one day, a year from now, go away, go get a job, chop wood, whatever. And anytime you're not busy, you're going to have to work, but you have to yearn to get me out. And then the last day, no sleeping, no eating for 24 hours, and then you will be able to free me and get me out of the place of evil. So the viceroy went and did exactly what she told him. On the last day, at the end of the year, he fasted and did not sleep. Then he stood up and was headed toward the castle. When he saw a tree with very beautiful apples, it was very desirable to the eyes, and he ate an apple. As soon as he ate the apple, he immediately fell asleep and slept for a very long time. His servant tried to wake him up, but he couldn't. When he finally woke up, he asked his servant, where in the world am I? Really, it's where am I in the world? The real literal translation is where am I in the world? The servant told him exactly what had happened. He slept for a very long time, for many years. I survived by eating this fruit. The servant only weighs like 45 pounds. All fruit diet.
Yep.
The viceroy was very upset. I blew it. He went to the castle, found the princess. She lamented to him, if you had come directly on that day, you would have freed me from here. But because of one day, you lost everything. But it is very difficult not to eat, especially on the last day when the evil urge is very strong. Now, find yourself a place again and remain there for another year. This time, you're permitted to eat on the last day, but you may not sleep. Do not drink any wine on that day, that you will not fall asleep. The main thing is to avoid sleep on the last day. Shemata zeh sipur. Okay? The viceroy went and did as she had instructed him. On the last day, as she was heading towards the castle, he saw a flowing spring. It was red in color and smelled like wine. So he asked his servant, what? This is amazing. What is this? It's a spring, but it should contain water. But it's red and it smells like wine. I got to sip it. Right? So he took a taste from the spring and immediately fell asleep for many years. He remained asleep for 70 years. Long time. 70 is a significant number.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, many soldiers had passed. Don't worry, the halftime we're going to have a little discussion. Meanwhile, we're almost there. Meanwhile, many soldiers passed by, along with their baggage trains, with their equipment. The servant hid himself because of the soldiers. Then a chariot and carriages passed by, carrying the princess. She stopped there, next to the viceroy, and descended. Sitting next to him, she recognized him and tried very hard to wake him up, but he could not be awakened. She then began to complain to him. He had spent so much effort and great toil for many years to free her. But then on the very next day, on the very day that he would have been able to free her, the opportunity was lost. She wept very much. It is a great pity both upon him and upon me. I have been here for such a very long time and I cannot leave. She then took her kerchief from her head and wrote on it with her tears, leaving it next to him. She then got up and sat in her chariot and left. When the viceroy woke up, he asked his servant, "Where am I in the world?" The servant told him everything that had happened. He told him that many troops had passed by and that a chariot had come. A woman had wept over him and had lamented that it is a great pity both upon him and her. The viceroy then noticed the kerchief lying next to him. "Where did this come from?" he asked. The servant replied that the woman had written on it with tears. The viceroy took it up and held it to the sun, and he began to see the letters and could read what was written on it. It contained all her lamentations and grief. He also read that she was no longer in the castle. He must now search for a golden mountain and a pearl castle, and that's where you will find me. Okay, that's halfway. Not a long story. So first we have to get into what's the meaning so far. Because of course this is a parable. So we have to go through and have to discuss, there's the king, there's the viceroy, right? Okay, you can get into the details of the servant, the money, the horse, and then there's the princess. But let's just do the general, the king, the viceroy, and the princess. And I'm telling you, every time you read this, it could change, okay? So what do you know about it? What do you know?
Well, I read a long time ago, but I just remember that all the time that he was about to get the princess, he fell. So
Never.
You saw never. At the
We
end.
say never. Okay.
So at the end, it seemed that he didn't find her, but I don't remember. Exactly.
Okay, we'll finish it, God willing. We got
And
we
it
got
was
some
like
time.
something with the soul.
Yes. Okay, good. So there's the king, there's the viceroy, and the princess. Let's line them up to get an understanding. Who's the king?
The king is the upper three spheroids.
Oh, you've already been reading.
Well,
You're
it's
so good.
right here. Well, you read the top, I read the
The
bottom.
way that Kaplan understands, the way that he did a commentary on here, right? As many people do commentary, is they'll pull from every single place where they can probably bring in the entire Tanakh, the Torah, and oral law, and put it to here. So in other words, it's really a collection of possibilities. Okay? In other words, when he says here, the king being the upper three sphirot, that's pretty good. Okay? The mental sphirot, we could look at it like that. Okay? But as we always relate to the king here, simply refers to God. Okay? Kodesh Baruch Hu. So the Kodesh Baruch Hu, as we know in terms of the relationship to what we've been studying, we have 6 sphirot, and then you have the 7th sphirot. 6 sphirot would be the 6 sons. Okay? But then, of course, there's the magical, mystical 7th sphirot, Malchut, which we discussed a little bit last week. Who was Malchut? Who was the tzaddik? Who was the righteous person?
David, King David.
King David. Okay? Malchut, kingship, is where, even in the most darkest places, right, you could see God, no matter what. It's for us to make God, and the goal of life, as it's explained so many times, in so many places, in so many different ways, is our goal is to give God a dira b'tachtonim, which means give God a place to dwell down here. Okay? Malchut is like this world, which is so physical, but yet we want a place for God to dwell down here. Okay? So we look at Malchut, we'll look at the lower sphera in a different sense. Okay? But here he tells us who Malchut is, the daughter. Okay? We have to get really more into it. What is it? Who is the daughter? Okay? So some people will tell us, right? I think I have 8 explanations. Okay, because Kaplan, once again, he strings a bunch of things. And then basically, you have to go ahead and into it and go inside yourself to see how it fits you. Okay? Because there's Rabbi Arush who gives his explanation. And he talks about the daughter of the king is Emunah, faith. Okay? Emunah is faith. Who's the viceroy? King, viceroy, daughter. Who's the viceroy?
It seemed to me that the viceroy is just the neshama, and the princess is the Shekinah. That's the way I just kind of took it.
Okay, so the viceroy is the neshama. Where are you in this?
Viceroy is
The
Israel.
individual neshama. That's
You.
Yeah.
You.
You. Yeah.
You. Okay? In other words, you're the viceroy. Okay? Welcome to your mission. This is welcome to your mission. Today is welcome to your mission.
What is the viceroy? The servant?
Mishnah Lamelech.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the servant.
Viceroy.
He's the
The second.
Yes, you could say he's the neshama, but there's another thing that I've heard other explanations say. That we are the viceroy. Yes, no question about it. And you can say that the lost princess is the Shekhinah, but it's been explained to me that really we're looking for our own soul. We're looking for that connection to the neshama. Yes, you're the viceroy. You're on a mission. But really, when you wake up in the morning, as you open your eyes, you should be hit with, I have to find the lost princess. Okay? Imagine waking up for the next 7 days. I'm going to test you. You have to wake up. I must find the lost princess. You're sent here on a mission, and you have to find, and you're here to find something. And that's the lost princess, which is really part of your soul, which is really emunah, which is really, right? We'll call it, the first thing that he brings down is the feminine force of creation, because don't forget, it's the daughter. It's the only daughter. He has 6 sons, which are the upper 6 sphirot. There's the 7th one, the daughter, who is the feminine. And why do we say feminine? Because that's the part, the element in us that receives. Don't forget, God made a creation in order to what? Bestow pleasure. Instantly, when it went up on his mind to make a creation to bestow pleasure, instantly was created a venti latte.
A woman.
Instantly was created a will to receive. Okay? Again, it went among God's mind, give. Instantly, there had to be something that's going to receive that. So instantly was created the vessel, a vessel to receive. Okay, but that vessel, the king, he loved that vessel because it was just, this is a way that God could express potential. A way. There's a million infinite ways that God expresses potential. And here's one. We're all in a universe, in this universe, and there's an infinite number of universes that exist. That's right. And this is one particular expression of God's unlimitedness in this world. In this expression, there is a giving and there is a receiving. But the problem is, as we've been learning all of these classes, is what? Is that receiving part fell to the dark side. It was shattered. May the no good one take you away, the king says. Inadvertently, there was a shattering of the vessels, and the feminine principle, the princess, the ability to receive is lost. The ability to really have an unbelievable connection to infinity is lost. Okay? That's the lost princess. It's that connection. And we're looking for it, and we all want it, and we're searching night and day for the aha. We call it the aha. My dad calls it the aha, right? We're all here for aha. We love ahas, right? Aha!
Mm-hmm.
Aha! Meaning I got it! I'm it! I'm in it! What? I'm sorry.
My granddaughter always says, I got it, I got it.
It's a very great, those are 3 great words. Telling you. Even when you don't get it, you should say I got it. Because then you're opening up your mind to get it. If you say, I'm not going to get this, it's too hard, impossible, can't, remember those. Those are the bad 3 words, okay? So the feminine, the ability to receive in the right way, is lost. Because we're receiving all the time, but we're not receiving it in the right way. In other words, there's many ways that we can go ahead and partake of the divine. And there's many ways that we can just like, a person can eat food, but why are you eating food? And then there's different levels. So we eat food, halavai, we would even think for a moment, I'm eating food in order to be strong and healthy to worship God, which is a great kavanah. It's an awesome intention. Most people eat because I'm hungry. Most people, it's good. Okay, I like it. Okay, pass me more, right? Stop. Okay, it's one of the things. One of my to-do lists, and I've got a big one. Okay, is to make like a chart there that people can put on the table just to help you refocus on why am I eating. Okay, I'm eating in order to help. But then there's a higher level. Not just I'm eating to be strong and healthy. There are holy sparks in the food that I would like to elevate. There are souls in this food that on my blessing, they get elevated. And then there's even higher levels where the tzaddikim, the holy righteous, the masters are totally involved in elevating souls and neshamas through the food. Okay? Halavai, we just have some kind of positive intention. So there's the receiving idea in a basic way, right? You get it? Am I making sense a little bit?
Total.
Okay? So it's in every pleasure that we take, the princess is lost. From A to Z, you name it. Name your pleasure, A to Z, the princess is lost. Why are we doing this pleasurable act? It could be is it for the holy reasons or the not holy reasons? So to have it on the holy, in the area of the realm, so obviously what we say is this princess got lost. Okay, and here he brings, like I said, other explanations here. Malchut is seen as the ability to experience God's presence. It's the same thing. I did catch from that book. It was a bit contorted, but it was a great story. I never have problems with. Usually I have problems with reading, right? But I got caught in the Da Vinci Code many years ago, right? Couldn't put it down, right? It was really, really well written. And he got into this whole feminine aspect. And it was cool until he got to the Nourishkeit about what happened in the temple in Jerusalem. That's when I wanted to throw it across the room. It's like blasphemy. Right? Idiot! In any case, sorry about that. Anyway, and then I knew, okay, there's no truth in this whatsoever, and it's a nice story. But he spoke about the idea of the feminine principle, which it needs to be fixed, okay, which is the ability to receive pleasure, which is lost. But it also has to do with the divine connection, our ability to relate to the divine, okay? Also known as the number 3, he says the congregation of Israel. The lost princess is the congregation of Israel, okay? The collective soul of the Jewish people. In other words, it's great. I'm connected. I pray all day. I feel so great. But it does the rest of the Jewish people, where are they? They're in the mud. So that's not good. It's an all or nothing kind of thing. Okay? We always, when we pray, God, there's a passage in Tikkun Zohar. God, it says he's peeking through the lattices. God peeks through the lattices. It's a pasuk from, I think it's in Ecclesiastes. God is peeking through the lattices. What does that mean? It goes to the Tikkun Zohar. He's looking in the synagogues. He's looking in the windows of all the synagogues to see if anybody in the synagogues, all those people that are praying, if anybody's praying for the Shekhinah. And he doesn't find it. Right? They're praying, but are they praying for the Shekhinah? Are they praying to elevate all of the Jewish people? Yeah, they might have their own connection, and it might be very nice. But is the person saying, oh gosh, the Shekhinah is so suffering? And it's the attitude of all of the masters, all of the spiritual, all the Hasidic masters, They're living in the Shekhinah every single moment. When they see somebody who's sick or somebody who's broken, they're saying, oh, it's the Shekhinah is broken. Or the Shekhinah is sick. And they're looking at the Shekhinah all the time. They're walking in the Shekhinah. Their lives are in the Shekhinah. Their lives, their heart is always contemplating the Shekhinah, which is really the collective consciousness of the entire Jewish people. Okay? Okay, the daughter is also seen as prayer. Look at that one. Think about that one. Daughter is seen as prayer. Prayer is in exile. Rabbi Nachman said so. Right? And it makes sense. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Prayer is in exile. Because nobody really, some people here and there you might get, but really in general, prayer is in exile. Okay, the Holy Land of Israel. Faith, emunah, as Rabbi Arush also brings down. Because when you think about it, faith, if you have emunah, if you really had emunah, if you really were totally connected to emunah, nothing would faze you. You would not get upset about anything your entire day. You go, it's from God, it's great. I can hardly wait to see how this is going to be good for everybody involved. Can you imagine having a reaction every time with a great big smile? This is great. I can't wait to see how this is going to be great for everybody. As the, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. You go like this a few times. A lot of practice, but if you had emunah, 100% emunah, you woke up 100% faithful, 100% dedicated, 100% in the mode that every single thing in my life comes from God and every single thing is good and there's a great purpose to it. Those are the main three ideas. You'd be totally in a completely different mode. You'd be totally connected, right? That whatever happens, you know it's from God. It must be good. Okay?
It's a learning opportunity.
Learning opportunity. I can hardly wait. I can hardly wait. I can hardly wait. Right? Some people are like that. Okay? I don't know what they're smoking, but
Yes.
they're like that. Okay. You go to Israel, some of them are not even smoking anything in their vote. They're like that. Okay? A lot of holy people are like that. Okay? A lot of holy rabbis. Okay? On a simpler level, he brings down number 7, the king's daughter is the spouse or the soulmate of every individual that every individual seeks in life. How do you like that? And in general, then, the king's daughter is man's ability to experience the divine. Let's look at it like that. We're all searching for that connection point. That is the lost princess. You are the viceroy, so you can say it as neshama, yes, because we all want to connect to our neshama. Right? Let's say, what is the I that needs to connect to the neshama? Whatever it is, our physical experience that we're experiencing right now, we would like it to be all neshama. Because if you were all neshama and you recognize that the body and all this stuff is just garment stuff, you wouldn't be taken aback by things. So it's really you kind of get a string of everything. Emunah, neshama, right? Divine connection. It's all part of that same thing. Okay? And then you got to get to now, what's the sleeping part? Okay? Because the viceroy sees that, and it also kind of gets into history a little bit. Okay? Because in history, as history unfolded from Abraham, right? From Adam in the Garden of Eden, and that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, fell away. The ability to receive fell from the incident of the Garden of Eden. The ability to receive. The whole world was in collapse and turmoil. And then finally you have some tzaddikim, some righteous people who are trying to get her back. And they're working. And then we do manage to come out of Egypt and we set up a kingdom and we had the temple. And in that temple, things were great. But we were in exile for the first exile, 70 years. 70 years. Sleep. Exile is sleep. We are in sleep right now. Sometimes a person can go and sleep throughout the day and wake up at certain times, right? So, when we say Techiyas Amesim, when we make the second prayer in the Shemona Esrei, in the silent prayer, Baruch Atah Hashem Achai Mesim, blessed are you, God, who revives the dead. That could even be for us, right here and now, to wake me up to my mission. Because we're supposed to wake up, and you've got a mission. And the mission is, you got to get the lost princess. You got to get her out. You're on a mission. Yes, every single one of you is on a mission. You got to wake up to the mission. You got to get the princess. And we get caught up in so much stuff. Tell me, huh? Right? I got to go to the bank. I got to go pick up the kids. And then I got this errand, that errand, there, and I got a list of chores. I'm on a mission. But he gave a hint here, which is something that struck me very deeply. And when she told, when the lost princess told him, you got to go out and you got to be busy for a year, And anytime that you're free, you gotta yearn for me. You gotta look forward to getting me out. In other words, we might be busy and might get preoccupied, but in the free moments, or we're not, what are you doing? Can you yearn to free the lost princess? Are you yearning and looking forward to connecting to your soul? Looking forward is a huge thing. Looking forward to the redemption it's one of the questions that's asked the soul when he leaves this world. Did you look forward to the redemption? Did you look forward to it? And so most people are, it'll come when it'll come. I'm busy, right? So, no, you have to yearn. Any moment that you have can hardly wait. Okay? So anyways, we have a couple of ideas. King, Viceroy, right? The lost princess, okay? Now we gotta finish the story, okay? So she is no longer in the dark castle. She is no longer in the place of evil. We're on page 47, actually. We're gonna start 48 at the top. She is now, and you can use this anytime, but believe me, I look forward to the day I can use it. Anytime I'm late to a meeting, I'm sorry. I was looking for a golden mountain and a pearl castle. So I was delayed. You'll see why. The viceroy left. Let's go. 48. The viceroy left his servant behind and went alone to find her. He traveled for many years. He concluded that he certainly would not find a golden mountain and a pearl castle in any civilized area, since he was an expert in geography and he had the what was it called? National Geographic Channel. Therefore, Travel Channel. Therefore, he said, I will go to the deserts. He searched for her for many years in the deserts. Finally, he met a huge man. He was such a huge giant that he could not be considered human. He was carrying an immense tree. In civilized areas, such a large tree would never be found. Who are you? Asked the stranger. I'm a human being, he replied. I have been in the desert for many years now, said the giant in amazement. I never saw a human being here before. The viceroy told him the entire story and that he was looking for a golden mountain and a pearl castle. The giant said that he was certain that no such thing existed. He discouraged the viceroy and told him that he had been convinced by foolish tales. Certainly no such place existed. The viceroy began to weep very bitterly. He was certain that it must exist someplace, even though this giant was discouraging him and saying that people had obviously told him foolish tales. The viceroy insisted, it does exist. Does anybody ever discourage you from your mission? Don't let them. The giant said to him, in my opinion, it is mere foolishness, but since you're so stubborn, I will do something for you. I'm in charge of all the animals. I will summon them all together. The animals run all over the world. Perhaps one of them knows about this mountain and castle. He summoned all types of animals, large and small, and asked them. They all replied that they had not seen anything like that. So he said to the viceroy, see, people have told you foolish stories. Listen to me, go home. It is certain that you will not find it. It simply does not exist. But the viceroy continued to press him and said, it must exist, definitely. So the giant said, my brother also lives here in the desert. He is in charge of all the birds. Maybe he knows something. They fly through the air. Okay, maybe it's possible that they've seen such a mountain and a castle. Go to him and tell him that I sent you. The viceroy traveled many, many years searching for him until he finally found him. He encountered another huge giant, just like the first one, and he was also carrying an immense tree. This giant asked the same questions as his brother had, and the viceroy replied, telling him the entire story and how his brother had sent him here. The second giant also discouraged him, saying this is obviously something that just doesn't exist. The viceroy pressed his convictions to him too. The giant said to him, I'm in charge of all the birds. I don't know why he didn't ask him in the first place. Hey, you're in charge of the birds. I know you buy the story. Just call the birds. Let's talk. Okay? So I'm in charge of all the birds. I will summon them. Perhaps they know. He called all the birds, large and small, and asked every one of them. They all replied that they did not know of any such mountain or castle. So the giant said to him, don't you see that it certainly does not exist anywhere in the world? Listen to me and go home. Obviously no such thing exists. The viceroy pressed him and said, but it certainly does exist somewhere in the world. The giant said to him, "Further on in the desert you will find my brother, who's in charge of all the winds. They fly all over the world, and perhaps they know." The viceroy traveled for many years, searching, and finally he found another giant, like the first ones. This giant was also carrying a huge tree. He asked him similar questions, and the viceroy answered, telling the entire story. This giant also tried to discourage him, but the viceroy pressed his case on him also. The giant told him that he would assemble all the winds for his sake and would ask them. He summoned them, and all the winds came. He asked them, but not one of them knew anything about a mountain or the castle. So the giant said to him, "Don't you see that people have told you foolish tales?" And the viceroy began to weep very bitterly. "I know for certain that it does exist," he said. And just then, he saw another wind come. The giant was angry at it. "Why did you take so long to come?" he demanded. "I decreed for all the winds to come. Why didn't you come with them?" The wind replied, "I was detained because I had to carry a royal princess to a golden mountain and a pearl castle." That's, you see, if you ever late for anything. I had to carry a royal princess to a pearl castle, golden mountain, pearl castle. Sorry. Where were you? Golden mountain, pearl castle. The viceroy was very happy. "We found it! Baruch Hashem." The giant asked the wind, and this is an interesting dialogue, "What things are valuable there?" "Everything is valuable there," replied the wind. The one in charge of the winds then said to the viceroy, "You have been seeking the princess for such a long time, and you have expended so much effort. You may have difficulty because of lack of money. I'm therefore giving you a purse. Whenever you put your hand to it, you will find money there." The giant then issued an order that this wind carry the viceroy there. The storm wind came and carried him to that place, bringing him to right to the gate. There were soldiers there who would not let him enter the city. But he put his hand into his purse and took some money. He was then able to bribe them to enter the city. The city was very beautiful. He went to a wealthy person and bought food from him. He would have to remain there a while, since he would have to use his intelligence and wisdom to devise a plan to free the princess. The Rabbi did not tell how he freed her, but in the end he did free her. Ha ha! Because what? The story is still being written, okay? This is this and only one other place where the Rabbi Nachman does not finish the story, okay? That's the 7 beggars, the last of the 8 stories of Rabbi Nachman. The idea here is, of course, now we're thinking, what's going on here? Okay? We got the idea, king. We got lost princess. We got viceroy. We got mission. Now the question really remains is, what is Golden Mountain and Pearl Castle? That's where she is. Now where could that possibly be? And what possibly is he referring to by Golden Mountain and Pearl Castle? Should I just leave it off for you guys to contemplate and come back next week? By the way, next week I won't be here. Okay? Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to be in Mexico. Guess what? Looking for a lost princess. Okay? Golden Mountain and Pearl Castle in Mexico. See? Okay?
And the following
In
week
between the
is our
tacos and the
gala.
fajita. What?
The following week is our gala, so I probably won't be
Who's
here.
our gala?
Shalom, I'm the chair of the,
Okay,
Steve and I are
fine.
the chairs.
So you will be missed.
Yeah.
You could, okay, should I leave it off for you guys? What do you think the Golden Mountain Pearl Castle is? Did you guys see food here at all?
The heart of the human being.
Yes, which part? Where? What? Come on, should I just leave you hanging to
No.
contemplate it forever?
It's the path. It's your path. It's your.
Golden
it's
Mountain
what you're
Pearl
meant to
Castle.
do. It's your
Okay.
purpose.
Purpose is to find the lost princess. She is no longer in the place of evil. She is in the Golden Mountain and the Pearl Castle. There's a few explanations to this, but I don't have time to go into it with you now. I'll tell you one.
Okay.
Okay.
Jesus.
What did you say? Now that's strange. It does say that. Rabbi Kabbalah says
I
that
didn't
in
read
his
it, I'm just-
commentary. But it doesn't make sense because we're in this world to find her. So what are you saying? Olam Haba is next world. What do you mean? She's in the next world and then forget it. I'm out. Let's go play tennis. Okay? No, so this is what it is, and it's amazing. There's an amazing Rabbi Nachman, okay? It's so deep, and and I'm writing, it's a whole chapter in my book, my manuscript. It's gonna come out one of these days.
Can't wait.
I'm gonna get it. I'm going to Mexico. I'm gonna be in a hotel room from 6 o'clock on.
Nice.
Hopefully no phone calls on that.
Plenty of time to write, right?
Yeah, not change the
Contemplate.
baby, make dinner,
Yeah.
go shopping. We need to pick up this, we need this, okay? And a lot of prayer, okay, I can pray, okay? It's all about Hashem helping me, okay? So really the idea here is this, yes, the next world, but this is a really dynamic thought, and I'm not gonna be able to do it in the 2 minutes I have here, okay? But Rabbi Nachman says, there's a Torah Rabbi Nachman who says, a person has to really work very hard to preserve his memory. Memory is very important. Has to do with paro too, okay? Because paro really, the code of paro in the Kabbalistic terminology is forgetfulness. Like the viceroy can't forget his mission. We can't forget our mission. Memory is very important. And he says the way to preserve memory is to always have your eye on the next world. In other words, in order to preserve memory, you'd think you'd have to constantly review. No, you have to have your eye on what is, what will be. You have to have your eye on the dynamic of your future. Meaning, you have to do what's called the quantum thought, which means you have to project yourself as if you're already there. You have to put yourself as if whatever your goals are, as if you already have them. The solution is already there. It's an unbelievable thought, and people use this all the time. As when they think, oh, I don't know what to do about this and this and this, you have to sit back, relax, and you have to say, it's already been taken care of. Imagine yourself really integrating that idea. Remember I spoke about how your thoughts make angels. Every thought. So now the ultimate thought is the solution is already there. And you have to sit with that. The golden mountain and the pearl castle is if you're already there. You're already at your destination. It's an unbelievable meditation. It's something that always have to sit with you, and you have to integrate it. In any one of the steps or stages in your life or throughout your day, you have to always remember yourself. Golden Mountain, Pearl Castle, you're already there. You're already there.
It's like setting goals and then working backwards.
Yes, in a simple way.
Mhm.
We're talking about the global, we're talking about fixing the world. Because this is a special club here where we're into world
It
redemption.
involves a
Okay?
lot of emunah. You've gotta have the faith.
That's the thing. That's why Malchut, the last one, Shabbat, Emunah. Emunah is huge, okay? And I spoke about this last week. I'll end it with this now. I saw it in the Leshem, this one line, and it goes with every single thing. That, Moshe Rabbeinu, he says in this week's Parsha, I'll use this for this week's Parsha bit, okay? Even though I won't be able to be edited from there. But Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem says, you gotta go to Paro. Go to Paro, tell him, this is after they have to make their bricks without straw. Go to Paro, tell him we're good, to get out, start the process. And Moshe says, the Jewish people won't listen to me because of, how is Paro going to listen to me? The real question is, what's the connection? Who cares? This is the bad guy. Eliminate the bad guy. Who cares if they don't believe in me? But Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, if they won't believe in me, all the more so Paro won't believe in me. Well, there's no connection. No, there is. And this is the rule. It's a very huge rule. And we say it all the time, is according to the awakening from below will be the bestowal from above. According to how we awaken from below will be the measure of the bestowal from above. If there's no awakening from below, if we don't awaken, God cannot bestow upon us. To the degree, and it goes to Emunah, because Emunah comes from the Lashon of Omein, that a child, as he suckles from the milk of his mother, he puts in an order for the amount of milk he needs all the time. In other words, if you don't work on sucking this much, if you go to Hashem with a Dixie cup, and you go like, ask to this, so then you're going to get this. But if you go with something expansive, like let's work on fixing the world's problems, so then there'll be a bigger bestowal from above. It's always going to be measured. The vessel has to be commensurate with what is. So the whole idea really is that the Golden Mountain Pearl Castle is be there. And then that's how we access. But there's much more to it that we'll have to get into later.
Woohoo! Wow,
Thank you, Rabbi.
that's awesome.
There's no food for thought there, I'll tell you that.